one big misconception that people have is as soon as they buy a health insurance plan, everything is covered from day one. Well, while that is true for only accidents, people don't realize that not everything else is covered. Today, we are exposing a topic that is all the hidden clauses that are hidden in your health insurance. Well, this is something that your normal insurers will not tell you, and only during the claim time, you will be left stranded as to why my health insurance got rejected. So, if you don't want to land in that space, then make sure you watch this video till the end. Today, I have with me Ajay, who is our Senior Program Manager here at Ditto. Welcome, Ajay.
Hi, Shashank.
So, Ajay, before we head into the topic, I want our viewers to know a little something about Ditto. Folks, Ditto is an insurance advisory platform. We are backed by Zerodha. We have over 10,000 plus reviews on Google. Plus, we have an average rating of 4.9 over 5. If you want personalized health or term insurance advice, then you can book a free call with us with the link in the description. And on that note, only for our YouTube audience who are watching this video, we have a special link in the description through which you can book the call, and we will assign an IRDI certified advisor to you, by which you will skip the long queue. Now, Ajay, I have been looking at the comments in of our YouTube, and what I see is there are a lot of folks who complain. My insurance claim got rejected in the last moment because of XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, they have some knowledge as to the basics of why your health insurance could get rejected. But there are so many clauses that are hidden from themselves because the insurer failed to discuss it or because of lack of research. So, today, the aim of this video is to help all the audience out here so that they are informed and they know that when the time comes, they can be very vigilant and their claims don't get rejected. So I have a list prepared with me, and let's go by that list. So the first thing that we will talk about is the waiting period.
Yeah. So coming to waiting periods, see, one thing I've seen a lot of people do is they forget to look at the specific illnesses that are not covered during those first initial couple of years, which is usually around 2 years, right? So there are a couple of illnesses like say cataract surgery or knee replacement surgery, okay, or for certain ENT treatments, okay. So this they might not cover during the first initial 2 years, right? So always make sure that you're aware that couple of things are there, and you have some alternatives in place like your corporate insurance to cover you for that first initial 2 years. That's why we suggest a lot of people to get their policies beforehand as early as possible, so that they don't have to go through these kind of waiting periods, right? So I've seen so many claims getting denied because people were not aware that these specific illnesses were not covered for that set period, right? So that is one thing. Every insurance during the first 30 days, okay, they only cover things like accidents. Okay, so if someone wants to get hospitalized for something else like like a dengue that happened, or say suddenly they got a urinary tract infection, those kind of things they don't cover during the first 30 days, right? So even if it is medically necessary, right? So only accidents are covered. So this is something most people generally know because you know there's been a lot of awareness, right? So a lot of awareness we've been spreading, and we've spoken on these topics before, and especially the most talked about is the pre-existing waiting period, right? So that is like if someone has things like diabetes or BP beforehand, right? So usually the companies have like something like a 3 years, kind of 3 or 4. Earlier they even had up to 4 years. Recently IRDA has put a restriction on that. So for the first 3 years or so, okay, any kind of associated condition also, like so for example someone has BP, but because of the BP there was something which was not controlled by the person, and that has been proven, which led to a heart attack, okay, that could definitely be rejected by the insurer. That being said, because I've said that because of the awareness and the videos that are out there and the resources, okay, waiting period is something that has become common knowledge now, okay. But one thing, when I've seen claims come up, okay, there's a concept called as your reasonable and customary charges. So this is something I've noticed that happens a little sneakily, right? So say for example, if someone, like I said earlier, let's take the cataract example itself, right? So say for example in Bangalore, okay, for a cataract surgery, say they're charging around 70,000. Okay, so the insurer also knows that this is the price, and they will have that kind of a understanding and say that this would be the cost. Now, what can happen is some hospitals might overcharge the person and say charge around say 1.2 lakhs, right? So now the insurer has the liberty to say that under reasonable clauses, okay, we can only give up to 70,000 because that is how much is the cost of these kind of surgeries.
In a place like Bangalore.
Yes. Okay. And we cannot, pay anything higher than that. Okay. And it is unreasonable. Okay. So we will only dispatch an amount of say, 70,000, even though your bill is coming to this amount. And if you're asking, is this even legal? Because IRDI also says that, if something is unreasonable, okay, the insurer is not really, liable to pay that. So these kind of issues happen, and people are usually unsure what to do in this situation because they've paid for the insurance, they've gone through the entire document, and still these kind of things happen. So that's where an agent or somebody who is an expert will really help. And even we've had cases where we've actually sorted these differences out with the hospital, made sure that the client does not pay, or you can even bring in an ombudsman to dispute if a hospital is overcharging, or the insurer is actually creating some kind of an issue where it could also be that it is a reasonable charge and the insurer might not deem it.
All right, Ajay. Now, the next one on my list is something on which we have done an elongated video. It's the health insurance general exclusions. Just for the sake of our viewers, we will link the video down. But can you just quickly brief up about the health insurance exclusions?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you brought that up, right? Because a lot of people are not really aware of these things as well, right? They just assume the health insurance kind of covers everything, right? The major things I've seen that are like, primary exclusions in health insurance. The number one thing is things like cosmetic surgeries. Okay, so majority of policies usually don't cover these things, which especially when it's not really medically necessary, right? So that is one thing. And when I say medically necessary, okay, that is again a very important term because just because someone has a viral fever, okay, they can't just get themselves admitted because they have an insurance. So only a doctor has to say that it is medically necessary, else the insurance is not going to cover it. So just hospitalization is not the only thing that is going to be a criteria for an insurer to cover you. So that is one thing. Yeah. So adventure sports, especially because the person is voluntarily putting themselves at risk. Okay, that is something insurers usually don't cover, right? And finally, you have things that, I mean, unfortunately, if someone is say self-inflicting upon them, things like drug abuse or say alcohol abuse, or say they something like unfortunately things like suicide attempts, those kind of things the insurer will not cover. So these are the primary exclusions, but there are like 20 plus exclusions, and probably Sashank will link them in the description.
All right, Ajay. I'll be sure to link the video in the description. Now, what if someone purchases a policy without knowing all these hidden clauses and exclusions? So, what would happen then?
I mean, in case say the policy has certain terms that are unfavorable, or you didn't know, or you bought it in a hurry, okay, there is something called as a free look period, okay, during which you can cancel the policy and get your refund back. Usually, it is around 30 days in some policies, and couple of policies I've seen it's around 15 days. This is like your return policy, which certain products have. So this is something people are not aware of. So the free look period is something insurers also use, and certain agents also, if they're very pushy, they kind of put it across that even if you can buy it now and in the free look you can cancel, right? So this is something that a couple of people are not aware of.
And they get their whole money back?
I mean, there are some charges. I mean, some stamp duties, postage charges, they might deduct, okay, from time to time. It's not like a very big amount, okay. But again, that depends on the policy, right? Sometimes they even might get the refund back. So this is a thing that you will see. And say, for example, if it's been past 30 days, okay, there is still an option called as porting. Okay, so this porting can be done like say 2 months before the say renewal or expiry of that policy, say which you don't like. So this porting can be done, 60 days. There's like a window during which you can port, as in move all your benefits and things and move to the next policy, which you probably like and you've done the best research on. So that is possible. So you never have to feel stuck in any policy in case you bought a wrong policy.
Oh, and do I have to serve waiting periods again?
So even the waiting periods get carried forward, right? So say in this policy, you've say been there for 1 year. So like I said, there's that specific illness waiting, pre-existing, all those things, right? So say the 1 year you've served here, you can get it carried forward to the next policy. And one more thing I've noticed is sometimes people might forget to pay their premiums on time. Okay, but luckily companies do have something like a grace period during like usually a 30-day window during which they allow the person to pay the premium, right? So this is also something that helps people out.
Now, Ajay, suppose I even miss the grace period. I don't pay my premiums. So does that mean that I'm left uninsured for the next policy year?
Sadly, if a person does not renew the policy, there's not much they can do. Okay, but I have seen cases where they will, accept on certain grounds to reinstate the policy. But they might, take another, say, medical checkup to assess what the current health is, or slightly put some kind of penalty charges or increase the premium a bit, right? There will be a fresh round of underwriting. Okay, so post that, like if a person is lucky and everything checks out, they might be able to continue with the plan. But that's why we always suggest to have your reminders, and usually at Ditto we always remind people to pay their premiums on time, right? So the ideal situation is always pay your premiums on time. If it's a monthly thing, please set up a mandate, or if you're going through Ditto, you don't have to worry because we're there to remind you and make sure that you pay the premiums. Also, another thing that people tend to miss out is the sublimits, right? So this could be certain disease-wise sublimits. For example, like say for certain cardiac procedures or heart-related procedures or surgeries, they might not give out the entire amount. Say the surgery is around 3-4 lakhs. Okay, the policy might have a sublimit that only up to 1.5 lakhs they will shell out. So these kind of sublimits might be there. They'll have a list of 4-5 ailments or surgeries for which only said amount, say 40,000 for this surgery, 30,000 for this, 1 lakh for this, or modern treatments only up to this amount, robotic surgeries is this, right? So these kind of limits might be there, right? So this again is a big problem. And again, the other limits are things like your room rent limit. Up to only 1% of the sum insured they'll give as a room rent restriction.
Exactly. We spoke about this in detail in the recent video that we made on
Yes.
the upcoming plan of HDFC Ergo Optima Lite. So, folks, we will link that in the description as well. Check that out if you haven't already. Ajay, please go on.
So room rent aside, there is also another restriction for the ICU rooms as well, right? So even for the ICU rooms, I mean, sometimes if they cost little more, they would probably put up to 2% or this amount or 20,000 or 10,000 rupees. It would either be in amounts or in percentage terms. So that is also something to watch out for. Yeah. So these are with your sublimits.
All right, Ajay. Now I have a quick question. If, say, suppose my health insurer takes back a product, that is, they discontinue a product, what would happen to me? Would I left be stranded without an insurance?
No, nothing of that sort, right? So if say they choose to discontinue because the features have become redundant, okay, so they will give you an alternative, right? So which usually ideally should be a better policy, okay, else you should probably opt to port out, right? But say for example, if someone already has a lot of pre-existing conditions, right, then you need to be very careful, okay, and make sure that the insurer is offering you a better policy. Right. Luckily, even recently, I think the HDFC Ergo had discontinued their My Health Suraksha plan, which had been there for a long time. And instead, at renewal, they were offering the Optima Restored plan, okay, which is a better upgrade because the Suraksha plan had certain sublimits and the bonus was actually quite less. So, I mean, it was an upgrade. So that is always an option that they will give you another alternative for that, and you can probably choose to renew with that and all your benefits carried forward. No fresh waiting periods or anything as such.
Understood. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
As you heard, folks, that Ditto is with you during every step in your insurance journey, be it health or term insurance. We are not just here to help you just pick the right plan. We help you even understand how insurance works, just like how we do on our social media and even on our YouTube. So, folks, if you are in the confusion of buying health or term insurance or where you should purchase it from, consider booking a free call with us with a link in the description, and we will help you with whatever stage you're in of buying your health insurance. Now, Ajay, I have one final hidden clause in the list, and I will accompany this with a question. What if one day I wake up and my insurer sends me a mail, "Hey Shashank, I'm sorry, but we have to cancel your policy." Uh, Can this ever happen?
I mean, in your situation, may not, because you probably took your policy through Ditto. But in if it did happen, it means that you probably didn't disclose something properly, and the insurer found out. Okay, that there's been some kind of misrepresentation, hiding of facts. Okay, or you probably did some kind of a fraud kind of a claim, right? So only in these situations do they actually cancel your plan, right? And that is when they can legally do that. Else, they can't really cancel the policy.
Understood. So, Ajay, this brings us to the end of the discussion on the different hidden clauses in health insurance. Uh, do you have any parting words?
One thing I'd say is, always educate yourself, no matter how difficult or intimidating the subject is. Either you can learn a bit about it or always ask an expert. Okay, there's always somebody to help you on any subject that is available on.
Thank you, Ajay. That was really short and sweet. Now, folks, if you made it till the end of the video, congratulations, because now you know all the hidden clauses in your health insurance. And even now, if you don't have a health or term insurance, then we suggest you to book a free call with us with a link in the description, because now you know how important health or term insurance really is. I will see you in the next video. Until then, happy insurance hunting.